The stars shimmered against the endless black of space as the massive alien ship approached Earth. It was the year 2157, and humanity was about to meet its galactic neighbors for the first time. Captain Jack Harlow stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station. His weathered face remained calm, but his stomach twisted with both excitement and worry. After decades of searching the stars for signs of life, the aliens had found humans first. "They're hailing us again, sir," said Olivia Bennett, his communications officer. Jack nodded. "Put them through." The view screen flickered to life. A tall, blue-skinned being with 4 eyes stared back at them. The translator converted the aliens' clicks and whistles into English. "People of Earth, we welcome you to the Galactic Confederacy. We represent 37 spacefaring species who live and trade together in peace. We invite you to become our newest member." 6 months later, Jack realized that peace meant something very different to the Confederacy. He watched from the bridge of his small patrol ship as alien mining vessels stripped a human colony world of its resources. The colonists had been forced to relocate with little warning. "This can't be right," Jack said to his first officer, Pete Watson. "The treaty was supposed to protect our settlements." Pete shook his head. Apparently, the fine print said they could claim any world they decided was more valuable to the Confederacy than to us. Jack clenched his fists. Earth had been so eager to join the galactic community that they hadn't looked closely enough at the terms. Humanity now found itself at the bottom of a very tall ladder. Their technology, while advanced enough for nearby star travel, was centuries behind most Confederacy species. "We're receiving a distress call," Olivia said suddenly. "It's from the research station in the Kuiper Belt." Jack felt a chill. His sister worked at that station. "Put it through." The message was broken and filled with static. "Under attack. Confederacy ships. Claim we violated. Help us." Then silence. The patrol ship raced to the research station, but they were too late. The station was a broken shell, bodies floating amid the debris. All 89 scientists were dead, including Jack's sister. The Confederacy Council called it an unfortunate misunderstanding. They claimed the research station had been mining in a disputed territory. Evidence showing this was false was ignored. 2 weeks later, Earth's president addressed the Confederacy Council. Jack stood at attention behind her, his face a mask of control despite his grief and anger. "The people of Earth formally withdraw from the Galactic Confederacy," the president announced. "We will no longer accept treatment as second-class beings." Laughter echoed through the council chamber. A tall, reptilian alien stepped forward. "You primitives barely understand how your own solar system works," he hissed. "Without our guidance, you would still be throwing rocks at each other. Leave if you wish. You will come crawling back when you realize how much you need us." As they left the chamber, Jack walked beside Lisa Moreno, one of the few survivors from another research station attack. Her dark eyes burned with an intensity that matched the fire in his own heart. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. "Now," Jack said, "we show them exactly what primitive humans are capable of." The Earth ships returned home, and a strange quiet fell. For years afterward, human vessels stopped appearing at trading posts. Communications became minimal. The few humans seen outside their solar system refused to speak about what was happening back on Earth. The Confederacy laughed about the humans hiding in their little corner of the galaxy. Some alien species even placed bets on how long it would take for humans to come begging to rejoin. They didn't understand that humans were not hiding. They were building. 10 years passed. The galaxy moved on, and most species forgot about the humans. Some younger aliens didn't even know that a planet called Earth had briefly joined the Confederacy. But in the high councils of the most powerful alien worlds, whispers began to spread. Zax, a 4-armed trader from the merchant species Volari, docked his ship at an outpost near Jupiter. This was unusual. Most aliens avoided the human solar system now. Humans rarely welcomed visitors and traded only for essential materials. "I'll pay double for information," Zax told the station manager, a stern woman named Karen Mills. She crossed her arms. We don't share information about Earth operations. Triple, then, Zack said, his voice low. My government just wants to know what's happening in the rings of Saturn. Our sensors detect strange energy patterns. Karen's face revealed nothing. Solar radiation. Nothing more. Later that night, Zax tried to hack into the station's computer system. The next morning, his ship left with him aboard, seemingly normal. But when it reached Voleri space, Zax had no memory of what happened after meeting Karen. His ship's databanks were wiped clean. He wasn't the first spy to return this way. He wouldn't be the last. Deep in the rings of Saturn, behind layers of ice and rock, Lisa Moreno watched the construction of humanity's answer to the Confederacy. The massive shipyard stretched for kilometers, hidden from prying eyes. Power test complete, said her assistant, Greg Powell, looking up from his screen. The shadow drive is stable. Lisa nodded, her face illuminated by holographic displays, showing the massive black ship taking form before them, and the gravity weapons, all green. Though I still don't understand how you made them work. The math shouldn't allow it. Lisa smiled slightly. The Confederacy thinks they know all the laws of physics. They forgot that rules can be broken. Greg looked nervous. Do you really think we can stand against them? They have thousands of worlds. We don't need to beat all of them, Lisa said. Just enough to make them respect us. Across the solar system, humanity prepared. Children learned new sciences developed after studying captured alien technology. Soldiers trained in combat styles designed to counter specific alien physiologies. Every resource was directed toward one goal: independence. On the Confederacy homeworld, the High Council met in its crystal tower. The topic: Earth. Ridiculous primitives, said General Kroth of the Trocathar. His scaled skin gleamed in the light. Let them hide. Ambassador Xil of the peaceful Erosi disagreed. Our observers noted unusual stellar energy fluctuations near Earth last month. Something is happening. Primitives remain primitives, Kroth insisted. Their technology was centuries behind ours. 10 years is nothing. In the corner, the oldest member of the council, Vexnev of the ancient Quillary, spoke softly. You forget your history, General. Humans adapt faster than any species we've encountered. They learn through conflict in ways we do not. What could they possibly learn that would threaten us? Kroth laughed. Vexnev's 6 eyes blinked slowly. They learned that we betrayed their trust. That may be the most dangerous lesson of all. The meeting ended without decisions. The Confederacy would continue to watch, but take no action. After all, what could one small planet do? The answer came sooner than expected. A distress call cut through space, originating from the human colony on Proxima Centauri B. Under attack. Repeat, we are under attack by Druethi warships. 7 battlecruisers. They're bombing civilian centers. We need immediate assistance. In his office on Earth, now Admiral Jack Harlow received the transmission. 10 years older, with gray in his hair and new scars on his soul, he pressed a button on his desk. Get me the president, he said. It's time. Across the solar system, in her control center among Saturn's rings, Lisa Moreno received the order she had worked 10 years to fulfill. Prepare the EDF Vengeance for immediate deployment. The EDF Vengeance moved out of its hiding place in Saturn's rings. For the first time, the full ship came into view. It was huge, nearly 2 kilometers long. Its shape reminded Jack of an ancient arrowhead, sharp and deadly. The surface was pure black, not reflecting any light but seeming to absorb it instead. Jack stood on the bridge, now wearing the uniform of an admiral. Around him, the crew worked at their stations. Each person had trained for years for this moment. Shadow drive ready, Admiral, said the pilot. Frank Davis. Weapons green, added Alan Clark, the tactical officer. Lisa Moreno stood at the engineering station. Her eyes shined with pride as she looked at the ship's power readings. The core is stable. We can jump whenever you're ready. Jack took a deep breath. Coordinates locked on Proxima Centauri. Engage shadow drive. The stars outside seemed to bend. Then, in a flash that wasn't quite light, the massive ship vanished from the solar system. On Proxima Centauri, the human colonists hid in underground shelters. Above them, 7 Druithi battlecruisers fired on their cities. Buildings fell. Farms burned. The colony governor, Diane Rodriguez, clutched the communication system. Any word from Earth? Her assistant shook his head. Nothing yet. The Druithi are blocking our long-range signals. A young man ran into the room. Governor, the Druithi have landed troops. They're heading for the main shelter. Diane closed her eyes briefly. How long until they reach us? Maybe 20 minutes. She stood up straight. Then we fight. Get everyone who can hold a weapon. We won't go easily. In space above the planet, the Druithi commander laughed as he watched the destruction on his view screen. Weak humans, he said to his officers. They thought they could claim this planet without our permission. This will teach the rest of their colonies to respect the Confederacy. His sensor officer suddenly straightened. Commander, something is appearing near the planet. What do you mean appearing? Is it coming out of faster than light travel? No, sir. It's like nothing I've seen before. It's just appearing, piece by piece. The EDF Vengeance materialized near the planet. The shadow drive didn't just move the ship through space. It moved it partly outside normal reality. Now, as it returned, the massive black vessel seemed to fade into existence like a ghost becoming solid. On the Druithi ships, alarms sounded. What is that? The commander demanded. It's a ship, sir. Human design. But it's huge. The commander recovered from his surprise. Impossible. Humans don't have ships that size. Open fire. All ships. Concentrate on that vessel. All 7 Druithi battlecruisers fired their most powerful weapons at the Vengeance. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across space. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Jack watched calmly. Incoming fire, Helen reported. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The weapons hit the Vengeance. For a moment, the black hull glowed with absorbed energy. Then it darkened again. Lisa smiled at her readouts. Shield strength increased by 12%. The energy absorption system works perfectly. Jack nodded. Let's show them what we've learned. Target their weapon systems only. I want those ships disabled, not destroyed. Alan's fingers moved across his console. Targeting locked. Gravity weapons ready. Fire, Jack ordered. From the Vengeance, invisible waves rippled outward. Where they touched the Druithi ships, metal bent and twisted. Weapon systems crumpled like paper in a fist. On the Druithi command ship, panels exploded. The lights failed. What's happening? The commander shouted. What kind of weapon is this? His science officer stared at failing readings. They're somehow manipulating gravity itself. It's not possible. Outside, the Vengeance moved between the disabled Druithi ships like a predator among fallen prey. Jack opened a communication channel to all ships in the area. This is Admiral Jack Harlow of the Earth Defense Force Vengeance. Your ships are disabled. Your weapons are gone. We are here for our people. He paused, then added words that would soon spread across the galaxy. Humanity remembers its dead. This is just the beginning. News of the battle at Proxima Centauri spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. At first, many aliens didn't believe it. Humans defeating 7 Druithi battlecruisers. Impossible. The Druithi were among the Confederacy's strongest military powers. But then the videos started to appear. Recordings from the Druithi ships showed the massive black human vessel appearing like a ghost. They showed the strange way it absorbed energy weapons, growing stronger with each hit. They showed the invisible gravity weapons that crushed metal and machinery without destroying the ships themselves. It's a trick, insisted General Croth in the Confederacy Council chamber. Humans don't have this technology. They can't have developed it in just 10 years. Vexna, The ancient Quelleri counselor watched the recordings again. And yet they did. I warned you not to underestimate them. Alan Clark sat in the tactical center of the EDF Vengeance, studying the battle data. As the ship's tactical officer, he had planned their first combat using strategies no alien would expect. Humans had always been good at thinking in unusual ways. Your gravity-focus technique worked perfectly, Jack said, entering the room. The Druithi never even understood what was hitting them. Alan smiled. They expected energy weapons or explosives. They didn't expect us to simply change the gravity around their weapon mounts and crush them. We've received new orders, Jack said. The colony is safe, but we're not going home yet. Where to? Outpost 37. It's a trading hub where ships from 30 different species stop. High Command wants us to make an appearance. Alan understood. This wasn't just about saving the colony. It was about showing the galaxy what humans could do now. 2 days later, the EDF Vengeance appeared at Outpost 37. It didn't use conventional docking methods. Instead, it simply materialized near the station, its massive black form blocking the stars. Inside the outpost, aliens from dozens of worlds stared through viewports at the human ship. "It's really true," whispered a Xalari merchant to his friend. "Look at the size of it." A Druethi trader nearby sneered. "Size means nothing. Our ships are the most powerful in the Confederacy." "Your ships were crushed like empty cans," said another alien. "My cousin was on one of the battle cruisers at Proxima Centauri. He said the human ship absorbed their weapons' fire like it was nothing." The Druethi had no answer. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Lisa Moreno monitored the ship's systems. After 10 years of work, seeing her creation in action filled her with pride, but she knew this was just the beginning. "Admiral," she said, "I'm detecting scanner beams from the outpost and from several ships. They're trying to figure out how we work." Jack nodded. "Let them look. They won't understand what they're seeing." Lisa smiled. "No, they won't. The shadow drive operates partly outside normal space. Our gravity weapons use principles they haven't discovered yet." A communication officer spoke up. "Sir, we're receiving a message from a Croton warship approaching the outpost. They're demanding we power down our systems and prepare for boarding. They say we violated Confederacy space laws." Jack raised an eyebrow. The Crotons, always eager for a fight. He thought for a moment. "Let's give them a demonstration instead. Target their engine section with a low-power gravity pulse, just enough to shake them up." Alan entered the commands. Outside, the approaching Croton ship suddenly shuddered as if hit by an invisible fist. It didn't take any real damage, but its engines briefly lost power. "Open a channel," Jack ordered. When the connection was made, he spoke calmly. "This is Admiral Harlow of the EDF Vengeance. That was a warning at 5% power. We have no interest in boarding your vessels or fighting unless provoked. Remember what happened to the Druethi fleet, and choose your next actions carefully." The Croton ship quickly changed course, moving away from the Vengeance. Word of this encounter would spread even faster than news of the first battle. Throughout the galaxy, alien species began to ask a frightening question. If this was one human ship, how many more might they have? 2 weeks after the events at Outpost 37, the Confederacy Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from all 37 member species gathered in the Great Crystal Hall. General Croft pounded his scaled fist on the table. "We must destroy this human ship before they build more. It threatens the entire power balance of the Confederacy." Murmurs of agreement filled the room, but Vexna of the Quelleri raised a hand for silence. "You still don't understand," the ancient alien said. "If humans built one such ship in secret, who's to say they haven't built more already? An attack might bring their entire fleet down upon us." The doors to the council chamber suddenly opened. A human woman walked in, dressed in a simple black uniform with silver trim. She was Susan Wright, Earth's new ambassador. Behind her walked 2 human guards. "There's no need for attacks," Susan said calmly. Earth is willing to talk. General Croft stood up, towering over the human. You dare enter this chamber uninvited. After your ship threatened Confederacy vessels. Susan met his gaze without fear. I was invited by the council leader. And our ship defended a human colony that your Druithi allies were bombing. We responded to violence with appropriate force. The council leader, a tall blue-skinned Arosi, nodded. I did invite Ambassador Wright. It's time we heard what Earth wants. Susan walked to the center of the room. What Earth wants is simple. Respect. 10 years ago, you treated us like children. You took our resources, ignored our rights, and killed our people when we objected. She activated a small device. Above her, a hologram appeared showing the EDF vengeance. We withdrew and built this ship, and others like it, not to conquer, but to ensure our safety. We now propose a new relationship between Earth and the Confederacy, one based on mutual respect and fair trade. Or else what? Croft sneered. You'll attack us with your ghost ships. We prefer to call it the Shadow Fleet, Susan corrected. And no, we won't attack unless provoked. But we won't be exploited again either. A Xalari representative stepped forward. The Xalari were known as thinkers and philosophers among the Confederacy species. My people have long questioned how the Confederacy treats newer species, the Xalari said. Perhaps it's time for change. What exactly does Earth propose? Susan smiled. A new charter, one that protects the rights of all species, regardless of their technological development. One that punishes those who exploit others. Across the galaxy, people watched this meeting through broadcasts. On the colony world of Proxima Centauri, Governor Diane Rodriguez and her people cheered as Susan spoke. The EDF vengeance floated in orbit above them, a guardian against further attacks. On Earth, President Carlos Ramirez watched from his office. Next to him stood Lisa Moreno. Do you think they'll agree? The president asked. Lisa shrugged. Some will. Some won't. The ones who built their power on exploiting others won't give that up easily. At the council meeting, the debate continued for hours. Finally, a vote was called. 23 species voted to negotiate with Earth. 14, led by the Crodan Empire and the Druithi, refused. This is the beginning of the end for the Confederacy, General Croft declared as he walked out with the other dissenters. We will not forget this betrayal. After the meeting, Susan returned to her ship, a smaller version of the Vengeance called the Diplomat. As she boarded, her assistant handed her a message. The Crodan Empire is gathering their fleet, he said. Intelligence says they're planning to attack Earth directly. 300 warships at least. Susan nodded calmly. Send word to Admiral Harlow. It's time to reveal the rest of the Shadow Fleet. Across the stars, 11 more massive black ships just like the Vengeance moved out of hiding. Each one had been built in secret over the past 10 years. Each one was crewed by humans who remembered the past and were ready to fight for their future. The Crodan Empire was about to learn a hard lesson about underestimating humanity. The Crodan attack fleet moved through space like a swarm of angry insects. 300 warships, their hulls gleaming with weapons, headed toward the Sol system. Leading them was the massive dreadnought Iron Fist, commanded by Grand Admiral Zorex himself. The humans have forgotten their place, Zorex told his officers. One lucky victory against the Druithi, and they think they can challenge the greatest powers in the galaxy. His second-in-command, a scared veteran named Krell, looked less certain. The reports say their ships can appear and disappear at will, and their weapons bend gravity itself. Zorex laughed. Exaggerations and fear. No species developed such technology in just 10 years. We will crush these upstarts and remind the galaxy of Crodan power. Earth knew they were coming. Every defense system was on high alert. But strangely, the Shadow Fleet was nowhere to be seen. Only regular Earth defense ships patrolled near the planet. Commander Eric Martinez sat in the control center beneath Earth's surface, watching the approaching fleet on his screens. Unlike most military officers, Eric was known for his unusual tactics and calm under pressure. "They're entering the outer solar system now," reported his sensor officer. "Passing Neptune's orbit." Eric nodded. "And our ships?" "Shadow Fleet is in position. All vessels dark. The enemy doesn't see them." "Good," Eric said. "Let the Crodans come closer. Let them think we're defenseless." President Ramirez entered the control room. "Commander Martinez, are you certain about this strategy? We could engage them at the edge of the system." "With respect, Mr. President, letting them come to us serves two purposes. First, it pulls them away from their supply lines. Second, it makes them overconfident." The president looked worried, but nodded. "Proceed." Days passed as the Crodan fleet moved deeper into the solar system. They encountered only token resistance, a few small Earth ships that quickly retreated. "See." Zorex laughed on the bridge of the Iron Fist. "Their famous Shadow Fleet is a myth. They have one advanced ship, nothing more." The Crodan fleet passed Mars, heading straight for Earth. Victory seemed certain. Then Eric Martinez gave the order. "Shadow Fleet, reveal yourselves." Throughout the solar system, 12 massive black ships suddenly appeared, surrounding the Crodan fleet. The EDF Vengeance took position directly in front of the Iron Fist. The other 11 Shadow Fleet vessels closed the trap from all sides. On the Iron Fist, alarms blared. "Impossible," Zorex shouted. "Where did they come from?" "They were here all along," Krell whispered. "Their shadow technology hid them from our sensors." Admiral Jack Harlow's voice came through on all Crodan communication channels. "Crodan Fleet, this is Admiral Harlow of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered our home system with hostile intent. Power down your weapons and engines immediately." Zorex snarled. "Never. All ships, open fire." The Crodan fleet fired thousands of energy weapons at once. The space around Earth lit up like a new sun, but when the light faded, the Shadow Fleet remained unharmed, their black hulls absorbing the energy. "All ships, target their weapon systems only," Jack ordered. "Disable, don't destroy." The Shadow Fleet responded with precise gravity pulses. Across the Crodan fleet, weapon mounts crumpled and engines failed. Ships drifted powerless in space. On the Iron Fist, Zorex watched in horror as his mighty fleet was disabled in minutes without a single ship being destroyed. "Why don't they just kill us?" he asked no one in particular. Krell answered quietly, "Because they don't need to. They're showing the galaxy they could destroy us, but choose not to." That's a far more powerful message. A final transmission came from the Vengeance. "Grand Admiral Zorex, your fleet is disabled. You will be allowed to return to Crodan space with this message. Earth does not seek war or conquest. We seek only respect and peace. Remember what happened here today when you consider your future actions toward any human world." Across the galaxy, news spread quickly. The mighty Crodan Empire, with its fleet of 300 warships, had been defeated in minutes without a single casualty on either side. The legend of the Shadow Fleet, and the fear it inspired, grew even greater. 5 years passed since the Crodan fleet's defeat. The galaxy had changed in ways few could have imagined before the Shadow Fleet revealed itself. The old Confederacy no longer existed. In its place stood the Interstellar Alliance, with Earth as one of its founding members but not its ruler. 29 alien species had joined, including former enemies like the Druithi, who had overthrown their war-loving leaders after their defeat. Admiral Jack Harlow, now with silver hair at his temples, stood on the observation deck of the EDF Vengeance. The massive ship floated peacefully above a newly discovered planet where a young species was just beginning to reach for the stars. "They detected us yesterday," said Susan Wright, who had come aboard as Earth's representative. "Their scientists are very excited. First contact is always a big moment." Jack nodded. "I remember our first contact. The Confederacy ships appearing over Earth, making big promises. This will be different," Susan said. "The Alliance protocols ensure no species can be exploited or manipulated. They'll join as equals when they're ready." Lisa Moreno joined them, her engineer's uniform now bearing the rank of fleet commander. She had overseen the creation of technology academies that helped formerly oppressed species catch up to the galactic standard. "The sensors show they've launched a small ship to meet us," Lisa said. "Brave of them. Their spacecraft technology is still very basic." Jack smiled. "Send them a friendly greeting in all known formats. Let's make sure their first step into the wider galaxy is a positive one." On the bridge, Alan Clark, now captain of his own Shadow Fleet vessel, watched the small alien ship approach. "Hard to believe it's been 5 years," he said to Jack when the Admiral returned to the bridge. "Remember when we first took the Vengeance into battle? We were so nervous the Shadow Drive might fail. And now Shadow Drive technology is being shared with trusted Alliance members," Jack said. "The galaxy is changing for the better." The Crotons had eventually joined the Alliance too, though they remained suspicious of humans. General Croth had been replaced by younger, more progressive leaders who recognized that exploitation was a dead end. The EDF Vengeance, once the most feared ship in the universe, now served as much as a diplomatic vessel as a warship. Its appearance at troubled spots usually prevented conflicts before they began. A young officer approached Jack. "Sir, may I ask you something?" "Go ahead, Lieutenant." "Some of the alien representatives say humans planned this all along. That we joined the Confederacy knowing we'd withdraw, build the Shadow Fleet, and take control of the galaxy. Is that true?" Jack looked out at the stars. "No, Lieutenant. We never wanted to rule. We just wanted to be free and ensure others could be too. Sometimes that means being capable of terrible things while choosing not to do them. That's the true meaning of power." He pointed to the planet below. "Look at that world. In a century, they might be building their own ships, exploring beyond their solar system. Under the old Confederacy, they would have been exploited, their resources taken, their people treated as lesser beings. Under the Alliance, they'll have protection and guidance until they can stand as equals." Susan nodded. The Vengeance and the Shadow Fleet were never about vengeance, despite the name. They were about creating a future where such ships wouldn't be needed. As they spoke, the small alien ship made contact. On the view screen, a being with 4 eyes and green skin looked up in wonder at the humans. "We welcome you to the stars," Jack said with a warm smile. "We have much to share with you." Later, as the Vengeance prepared to escort the alien representatives back to their world, Jack stood alone on the observation deck. He thought about his sister, who had died in that research station attack 15 years ago. "We did it," he whispered to her memory. "We changed the galaxy, not through conquest, but by showing a better way." Outside, the massive black ship that had once struck fear throughout the universe moved gently through space, its shadow drive humming softly as it guided a new species toward a brighter future.